Hello and welcome to episode 1. Throughout this year, we'll be updating you on the exciting things that's happening here at Juniper Education. Today, we're joined by Darren Cole, who is one of the product managers here at Juniper. Welcome, Darren. For the people that don't know you, could you introduce yourself, please?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you very much for having me on, Al. It's a pleasure to be here in your company. Introduce myself. Well, the short version, I've been working in pupil assessment for quite a long time now, more than 15 years. In a past life, I was a primary teacher, then began working with the target tracker software, which I managed for many, many years, until the point that we began working with Juniper. And my role from that point onwards has been to create our new pupil tracker software, Sonar, which has been designed to take the best of all of the different elements of the various pupil tracking solutions that we have at Juniper Education.
Okay, so you mentioned Sonar Tracker. For those that won't know what Sonar is, can you explain that, please?
Yeah, and it's a really exciting time. What we now have at Juniper Education uniquely are the leading pupil tracking solutions. So I've already mentioned Target Tracker, but we've been lucky enough to be joined by O-Track and Classroom Monitor and Pupil Asset also. Now, each of those products have taken a slightly different approach over the years to supporting schools to assess their pupils and to get the maximum out of those assessments. So we've been able to take this unique opportunity to have a look at all of those different good ideas, pull them all together into one solution, a best of breed, if you like, and that's what Sonar represents. We've been able to say exactly what we want to put into the system. So what happens over many, many years, so Target Tracker is certainly guilty of this, is that sometimes you get a bit of bloat. So there are some features in there that are maybe harder to find, which offer really good solutions, but perhaps are difficult to navigate, difficult to isolate, and you're somewhat limited in what you can do. With Sonar, because we've started afresh, we've been able to say everything that goes into the system is there to support schools, to support teachers, to maximize pupil outcomes. That's its reason for existing. Anything that doesn't fit that agenda doesn't go in. And that's meant we've had a real clarity of thought around everything in the system, right down to the user interface, how it works, how people interact with it. Saving time is still a big part of maximizing outcomes. If pupils and if teachers can use the system quickly, they can get to where they want to quickly. They don't have to think, oh, which report was it I used last time, because they're there, they're easy to find. All of that contributes. And then, of course, you've got the actual assessment system itself. And we put a lot of time and effort into making sure that what we're calling our Juniper assessment model is a point-in-time assessment model set up to absolutely support teachers to make accurate, meaningful, moderated assessments, which are fully understood across the setting. But B, that data then flows through to our analysis, where we can help pinpoint pupils that might benefit from additional support, and we can do it quickly. Now, all of these things are things that teachers do anyway as part of their day-to-day, of course, and we're not suggesting otherwise. But when we're looking at just the pure numbers, we can do that crunching for teachers. So we can flag up these suggestions, we're calling them opportunities, that will identify pupils that might benefit from a bit of additional support. And what it will also do is say, well, if you manage to achieve the outcome of this support and get these pupils up to maybe a higher level of attainment, then what impact will that actually have on the percentage of pupils who achieve the expected outcomes in the core subjects? So it goes right from what's best for the pupils, what's best for the school in terms of presenting and achieving their numbers. And it's just a holistic system. So I suppose if I had to boil it down into one answer, Al, it would probably be that unlike other tracking systems, including those that are in the Juniper suite, Sonar is about the assessment loop. It's all about creating the data, feeding it back around to help ensure that learning that comes from it supports teachers to work with the children in their care.
Sounds really good. So would you say that's sort of like the main differentiator between Sonar and sort of the other trackers that are available, not just the Juniper trackers, but most sort of assessment systems that are out there?
Absolutely, and that's the other thing which uniquely at Juniper we're able to do. Without all of the schools using our existing trackers, we've got around 7,000 schools using those systems. And that's a huge wealth of understanding and knowledge of what are the best practices around assessment that we've been able to draw on. So not only have we looked at the tools that are in those existing solutions, we've been able to work with schools that have experience using different approaches to assessment, different assessment packages for assessment, and draw in all of those good ideas to ensure that we've got a focused system, not a woolly system, a focused system that people can pick up straight away. We piloted Sonar in May and June of this year with a number of schools using different systems, some that had been using no assessment tracking tools at all, other than maybe spreadsheets. Quite. And we found that all of those schools welcomed what we were doing.
Yeah.
Now, it's early days. We've only just launched, and there's still plenty of additional tools and features that we want to add. But our early feedback is that we've got this right. And that's really, really pleasing to see how those schools are already finding that the system is supporting them to get on with doing their day job.
Yeah, that's the main thing, isn't it? Making sure that it's it's doing what the schools want it to do, basically. So you mentioned other tools sort of linking in. So I know there are other Sonar products available. How do those fit in with the tracker?
Well, I guess the best example of that is the Sonar curriculum. Now, clearly, if you're going to create an effective regime of assessment in your school, then your curriculum content is key to that. We're lucky enough to also have the Sonar curriculum as part of the Juniper suite, which is a complete range of assessment and curriculum materials, including supporting materials, and that links directly into Sonar. So out of the box, you get the Sonar curriculum objectives as part of your subscription to Sonar, which means that immediately you know that you've got a well-managed, curated, again, by experts in the field, system of formative assessment that you can use to support you with your focused day-to-day learning, which then flows through, of course, to your less regular summative judgments, so that you know those are well moderated and understood throughout the school.
Okay. I think we are going to do a podcast episode where we are talking specifically about the curriculum as well.
Okay.
So we're going to get Anna on and do a specific Sonar curriculum podcast at some point. So that'll be really good. And then obviously we'll be able to see how everything fits together really, really, really well, to be honest. So there will be schools that are currently using one of the current Juniper systems. So as you mentioned, Target Tracker, O-Track, Classroom Monitor, Pupil Asset, who will be thinking about sort of switching over to Sonar Tracker. What would be the process for those schools at the moment?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I guess there are a few factors at play here. So as I mentioned, Sonar has only just released a few weeks ago. We've already got quite a few schools using it and benefiting from it. But there are a number of features that will be added over the coming months. So for schools that are using our existing systems, what we've been able to do is have a look at the features that they make regular use of in those systems. And from that, we can deduce which schools we think are probably best suited to move across to Sonar at this time. I suppose the best example of that would be observations or evidence. There isn't yet the ability to record that in Sonar. So schools that are using that feature in one of our other tracking solutions, we're suggesting maybe they might want to wait for a while. And with that in mind, we've recently sent out emails to existing tracker customers to say, look, we think you might be a good fit. We've created a website that schools can use to have a look and help decide whether that would work for them. And we've got webinars upcoming throughout November as well to support those schools and get a really good view. If off the back of this conversation, you might think, well, I'm using one of those trackers. I don't remember seeing that email. Well, it might be that It might be it's gone into spam,
Hopefully not.
Be you missed it, or it might be that we missed you. So what I'd say is get in touch just through the usual means, whether it be through helpline, email, whatever. Get in touch, and one of our colleagues will be very, very happy to give you an overview of what Sonar looks like now and exactly what it does. Basically, we want to make sure that any school that decides to upgrade to Sonar does so in a way that is as seamless as it can possibly be. Now, I think one of the things which we have at Juniper Education is a real empathy for what schools are challenged with at the moment. We fully understand how difficult it's been last year. We hoped this year would be an improvement, but already we're seeing issues around COVID. So clearly schools don't want anything that would upset that process any further than it is already. So we want to work with schools, and therefore we'd only suggest schools that move over to Sonar do so when it suits them. So get in touch, have a look. The tools that are there now are looking really, really good, really, really powerful. We know they add an awful lot of value over their equivalent tools in those other tracking products. But have a look, keep in touch, talk to us, work with us, and we'll make sure that when you upgrade across to Sonar, it does so in a way that works for you.
Perfect. So I'll put some put some information up around who to contact. So if as a school you do want to potentially switch over, we'll put some contact information there, and we'll also put some of the webinars that are coming up as well, so you can sort of join and have a look and see what everything's about. Is there any last things that you want to add, Darren, in regards to the Sonar tracker?
I think just that it's a really exciting time. And certainly for me personally, I've been working in this arena for a very long time, as have a number of colleagues, yourself included, Al. So to have the opportunity to do all of those things that many of us have thought, I wish we could just change that a bit or make this a bit better. We know that this will really help schools, help teachers, help multi-academy trusts. It's a really exciting opportunity to do that right now, and I'm delighted that schools that are using our existing systems are able to join us on that journey, and indeed schools that are joining Sonar new.
Well, thanks for your time this morning. We will try and get you back for another episode later on in the year, so we'll get another update in regards to how the system is coming along. So yeah, thank you for your time, and thank you everyone for watching.